Right. But anyway, basically, like, it's one of the things that's siphoned off a shit ton of revenue from the Yakuza, and why their numbers are, it's not the only reason. There's a few other factors as well. But one of the things that's really undercut their power in Japanese society, to where I think there's under 20,000 Yakuza now, where there used to be like
Oh,
160,000
can I
or
tell you
something
a
like that.
story about that, actually?
Sure.
I've gone to Japan once. I went with a friend of mine, a woman, and I had a really, really good time. We were walking around one of the districts south of Tokyo, which is where we were staying, when we encountered an honest to God red light district, which, you always hear about red light districts in media, and it's kind of like a fanciful term, but this was an actual red light district.
Hmm.
There was literally like a big open alleyway, maybe 20 meters wide, with a gigantic one of those Kanto gates, those big Japanese gates, with like
Hmm.
red lights and everything. I mean, it was very, very clear what it was. Um, it was nighttime, but it was also very busy, so we decided to walk down. And it was one of the most interesting experiences I've ever had in my life, because it was the first time and only time I've ever seen organized crime. Because the Yakuza were everywhere. There were all black limousines and black vans with dark tinted windows full of men in dark suits with serious, like, facial expressions, sometimes with tattoos that went past their neckline. They were everywhere. I mean, just like the whole place down. And in the center of the road, there were, I think, Nigerian men. Apparently, the Yakuza hire foreigners to do shouting for them, because Japanese men tend not to shout. They don't like shouting very loud, I guess. It's just a cultural
Hmm.
thing. But they get
Yeah.
foreigners, and these guys were like yelling at us. They yelled to my friend. They were like, "Oh, you're so pretty. You would like this place, You're so nice. You should go here, man. You're a white man, right?" Like that kind, like, stuff like that. And
Right.
my friend is drunk beyond belief, like pissed, and I am sober. But I think, like, in retro, like, this is probably not the safest place to be dragging her along, because, I mean, even if it's populated, this is like a very obviously Yakuza controlled area. But she pushes me to go into one of the establishments. And, I guess I kind of want to see too. So I step on in there, and there's a door you open, and you lead into a room that's no smaller than an elevator. And on the other side of this elevator-sized room, there are a bunch of curtains and a desk in front of them with two guys behind it, both obviously Yakuza. And one of them looks at me and holds up this big, like, poster board with a bunch of women's faces on it. They're sex workers, with, like, yen underneath all of them. And it's, like, pointing. And I'm like, I'm just looking in here, and he doesn't speak English, so he's just like pointing, like kind of irritated looking. And I'm like, never mind, I think I'm gonna go. And I like turn around, and my dipshit friend is pulling at my arm, going, "You pussy, you should fuck them." And I have to like drag her out of the place. And anyway, I read up on all this later, and we got out, we're fine. But I read up on this place later, and apparently this is one of the very, very, very few industries where the Yakuza have some kind of like wedge of control, because, like you said, they've been aggressively driven out, sometimes like in almost militarized police raids, from almost every other industry. And now what is left of the Japanese prostitution industry, they have a huge stake in, because it's one of the few things they have a hold on.